Hello Summoners, and welcome back to another ProGuides video. My name is Dan, and today I'll be going over 10 things that you should be abusing during the preseason 10 meta. As most of you know already, the preseason came with a ton of changes, and the meta has shifted drastically compared to patch 9.22. Our Challenger analysts are here to help you win more games by telling you exactly what you should be playing and using while you're on the Rift. This guide will help you get a better read on the meta and gain an advantage on those who are still learning about what's good and what isn't. Also guys, today's question of the day is, what do you think is the most broken new feature on the Rift? I personally think it's a new item called Sanguine Blade. That item is so broken and is honestly making my life in the top lane a living nightmare. Let us know your answers in the comments down below. And don't forget to check out ProGuides.com if you want to get better at League during the preseason. You can use this time to really improve your game and get a head start on your placements for next season. So make sure to click the link in the description, pick up a Challenger coach, and get practicing. Alright, now with all that being said, let's jump into the video. Starting the list off at number 10, we have the new alcoves in the side lane. Now, at first glance, you might be wondering, why were these even added to the game? I've even heard stories of people playing over 20 plus games on the Rift during the preseason and never entering the alcoves even once. However, I'm here to tell you that these new pockets in the side lanes are extremely broken if you know how to use them. However, it's only a matter of time before people start to pick up on these new alcove tricks, so make sure you abuse them ASAP after watching this video. Let's give a few examples in the bottom lane. One of the strongest uses of these alcoves are with a rune that most people forgot even existed. And yep, you guessed it, we're talking about Hex Flash. While you're playing a champion who requires a strong flank position like Alistar, Thresh, Blitzcrank, or Leona, you can combine your Hex Flash with some sneaky pathing into the alcoves to surprise your opponents on the other side. This is the most effective when you're trying to set a jungle gank because it'll completely catch your opponents off guard and can even secure a dragon once you've double killed them. Another usage of these alcoves is to enable some new picks in the bottom lane that normally wouldn't be played as a support. The first two that come to mind are Zac and Zoe support. Since Zac's E range is so big, he can catch the enemy bottom lane at an awkward angle that'll be very hard to predict. Zoe, on the other hand, can use these alcoves to get good Sleepy Trouble bubble positionings and get some extra range for her Q. Give these two a try and let us know how that goes down below. Next up at number 9, we have the new lethality items and especially Sanguine Blade. If you played a few games during the preseason already, you would have noticed just how broken Sanguine Blade is. In fact, this item was so strong that it got hotfix nerfed shortly after its release, but is still extremely busted. For those who are unaware of what this item does, it gives you 50 AD, 15% lifesteal, 10 lethality, and has a unique passive which gives you 20 to 80% attack speed and 8 lethality while there are 1 or less enemies nearby. This means that champions in the mid and top lane can easily abuse this item to get an insane power spike over their opponents. The ones that come to mind for the top lane are Jace, Quinn, Lucian, Vayne, Irelia, Camille, Rengar, Nocturne, and many others. For the mid lane, we have Nocturne, Yasuo, Talon, Zed, Lucian, Irelia, and the list goes on. Purchasing this item gives you an automatic lead on your opponents because there's no other item in the game that costs 3,100 or less and gives you the same value as Sanguine Blade. However, that's not even the best part. Sanguine Blade can also be used on junglers to increase their camp clear speed and even solo Baron. Since camp respawn timers have been reduced from 2 minutes and 30 seconds to 2 minutes flat, a lot of junglers can't keep up with the respawns. But purchasing a Sanguine Blade gets rid of this problem once and for all. AD junglers like Lee Sin, Graves, Nocturne, Shaco, Rengar, and many more are all really strong with this item. Also, as a bonus, Olaf can actually solo the Baron once he purchases this due to his passive and the lifesteal plus attack speed from Sanguine. Coming in at number 8, we have AFtershock. AFtershock received a rework at the start of the preseason, and it's now become significantly stronger for tanky champions. Most notably, the cooldown on AFtershock has been changed from 35 seconds to 20 seconds, which is almost half the amount as before. This means that specific champions in top, jungle, and support can abuse this new rune with the lowered cooldown. They'll pretty much have it up almost every single time they engage, which is a huge indirect buff towards them. For top lane, we have things like Singed, Darius, Maokai, and Shen. For jungle, we have things like Nunu, Zac, Gragas, and Amumu. For support, we have champs like Leona, Blitzcrank, Nautilus, Thresh, Fiddlesticks, and Pyke. Just think about it like this. In addition to your normal hard CC ability, it pretty much has an added effect which gives you a Leona W mechanic built into it. Next up at number 7, we have Senna. This champion is beyond broken and is one of the strongest champs that Riot has released in a while. Her kit is pretty overloaded with passives and abilities, and her numbers are a bit overtuned. Senna will likely receive a ton of nerfs within the coming months, so it's important that you abuse her while you can during the preseason. Also, as an added bonus, Senna is an extremely powerful flex pick right now, and she can be used as an ADC or support, and even sometimes in the middle lane. Also, the changes made to support items also work in her favor due to the AD components added onto them. She can bully out her opponents so much harder while also being extremely safe thanks to her AoE camo and sustainability. She's pretty much like a Pyke on steroids, except a lot safer and way more peel. Coming in at number 6, we have the new Conqueror. Conqueror was reworked at the start of the preseason to now have 10 stacks instead of 5, and the true damage component has been removed. However, the maximum adaptive damage that you can get at full stacks has been increased by a huge amount, and some champs can abuse this very well. For the top lane, we have champs like Heimerdinger, Cassiopeia, and Singed, who are just wrecking havoc in isolated scenarios and can easily 1v2 the enemy jungle and top laner. A few more traditional Conqueror users for top lane are Mordekaiser, Garen, Darius, Fiora, Renekton, Kayle, Kled, Camille, and Aurelia. For the jungle, we have champs like Olaf, Lee Sin, J4, Warwick, and Kindred, who all work with this new rune. There are a ton of other champions who can abuse Conqueror to its fullest, so make sure to try them all out. Number 5, we have poke support champions in the bottom lane. At the start of patch 9.23, the support items were revamped to now give bonus AD or AP combined with a spell thief-like passive. This means that support champs who are designed to poke out the enemy like Xerath, Brand, Lulu, and Zyra have become a lot stronger in the meta. In addition to this, there has been a small influx in tank melee supports thanks to the AFtershock changes, which means that it'll become a lot easier for you to poke them out. My personal favorite right now is Brand support with Conqueror because it does so much damage while also healing yourself for a million. Give it a try, you won't regret it. Next up at number 4, DORAN'S Blade strat all the way from Korea. A new strategy that's been rising in popularity recently on the KR server is building 4 to 5 DORAN'S Blades on every ADC except for Kai'Sa. This means champs like Ashe, Caitlyn, Lucian, Vayne, and most notably Miss Fortune are all rushing 4 DORAN'S. The reason behind this is due to the stacking component that the lifesteal, AD, and HP that it provides. Not only will this make you extremely tanky, but it'll also give you a ton of lifesteal and damage as well. It's an easy way to spike extremely hard and fast during the early to mid game. Even if you fall behind while using this build, it's really hard for your opponent to catch up with your power spikes. However, one thing to note is that if you don't get snowballing early, then you'll naturally fall behind during the late game due to the nature of this build. You're sacrificing a lot of gold during the early to mid game because you'll eventually need to sell the DORAN'S. Coming in at number 3, we have the new dragons. At the start of this patch, all the dragons have been adjusted or reworked to now become more valuable and give you an even bigger lead. In addition to this, the drakes have become a lot easier to kill thanks to their HP bar being lowered down. This means that it becomes a lot easier to win the game if junglers path towards the bottom lane to play around every drake. Pick a stronger jungler who can solo it like Kha'Zix or Olaf and buy a ton of pinks to sneak the dragon. One of our analysts who's a challenger jungle main has stated that playing around all the early drakes will increase your win rate significantly. You'll be able to see the results as soon as you start implementing this piece of advice. The meta favors the bottom side of the map a lot more, so it makes sense to play around them. Also, dragons like Cloud and Mountain have become extremely powerful this patch. Mountain Drake is likely the strongest in the game, with Infernal, Ocean, and Cloud being a very close tie for second. Next up at number 2, we have counter jungling. Jungle has been changed again this patch to now punish you even harder for not playing the map correctly. This means that counter jungling will really start to hurt your opponent, and it can leave a serious impact on your EXP for the entirety of the game. Back in Season 9, junglers could pretty much spam gank without ever having to farm because they had things like catch-up EXP, which rewards you for being put behind. However, now that catch-up EXP is almost irrelevant, junglers have to start farming their camps efficiently. Counter jungling is a great way to put your opponent behind and keep them behind. Once you gain a lead on them, it's really hard for them to get the lead back, and it's likely that they'll be 3 levels behind their solo laners. Start learning how to play the map a lot better by using our resources on the YouTube channel or even ProGuides.com if you want to take your gameplay to the next level. Being able to counter jungle effectively and efficiently is one of the biggest traits which separates the mediocre junglers from the great ones. And lastly, at number 1, we have an OP duo combo for the mid and jungle that's been rising in popularity on the Korean server. Cassiopeia plus REK'SAI is the new FREELO wave that challenger Korean players have been abusing. In fact, the number 1 ranked player in Korea, Cuz, has been abusing this duo combo to climb his way to the top. If this combo works for him in Korean Challenger, then it'll work for you as well. The reason why this duo is so OP is due to their abilities meshing really well together. Since REK'SAI is a champion who can gank early but relies heavily on her own flash, she needs a bit of setup from her laner when her flash is down. Cassiopeia, on the other hand, is the perfect champion to combo with REK'SAI due to her W being inescapable for a few seconds. Your opponent literally can't escape the cast W, and REK'SAI will eventually be able to unburrow on top of them for a free kill. In addition to this, REK'SAI can gank from any angle, whether that's from Raptors, topside, bot side, or even behind the tower. Pick up a duo partner and give this a try because it's so incredibly broken. That's it for the 10 most broken things that you should be abusing during the preseason. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please hit that like button, comment, and subscribe to be notified of our next vid. Also, make sure to check out ProGuides.com if you want to see huge improvements in your rank. That's all for now. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you out on the Rift.